Alright guys, welcome back to part 2 of our Raspberry Pi car tutorial. Today what we're going to do is we are going to learn how to set up our Raspberry Pi with Raspian. There is one thing that I didn't mention that we will need to buy. It's not very expensive, but you will need a micro SD card. So you'll need a small SD card like this. 16 to 32 gigabytes should be plenty. I figured 16 might be cheaper than 32, but it turns out they're pretty much the same. So it's about $5, I'd say, on Amazon for including shipping with Prime. And then this is going to be our Raspberry Pi. This is the Model 3 B+. And yeah, so let's just get started. Let's well, first I should show you where this micro SD card goes in. So if you notice on the back, there's this right here, that little slot, and we're going to put our chip in face down, and it goes in just like that. Now this chip is already formatted with Raspian, but when you get a brand new chip, you will need some sort of converter like this, so that you can easily put the micro SD into a full-sized SD, and then you can either use some device like this guy right here, where we put it in the right way. Okay, put our SD card in, pop that into a USB port on your computer, or if you have a Mac, I actually have this nice little convenient SD card slot. So any way that you can get this connected to your computer, it doesn't really matter, but let's get started. I'm going to show you guys how to set up Raspbian on both Windows and Mac. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, so we're going to start with Macintosh. Just a quick side note, I did realize when I had put Raspian back into my computer that I did need to use SD card formatter in order to get it back to a normal SD card. It's pretty easy, just download it online. Let's see if I can find it for you. Yeah, just Google SD card formatter. It'll be the first link, sdcard.com, or sorry, .org. And down here, they've got a Windows version and a Mac version, super user-friendly, just download it the way you would any other program. Come into here and make sure, this must be a good update because I'm not even allowed to select my hard drive, my main hard drive, so I know a lot of people have had issues with accidentally deleting everything on their hard drive because they picked the wrong one. But it looks like they've made an update so that it won't even allow you to do that anymore. I used quick format, it was done in about less than a second. It did make me enter my password, but the format is incomplete. Sorry, the formatting is complete, and it's in the right format. We have MS-DOS, everything's good. Okay, so this is essentially the way that a brand new SD card would look when you plugged it into your computer. There'd be nothing in it, and if you were to go up here to disk utility, you could see that we have 11 megabytes used, and that's just some backup stuff, and it's an empty SD card. So what we need to do is we need to download Raspian. Let's go to raspberrypi.org, go to the downloads section, click on Raspian. So I'm going to use Raspbian Stretch with desktop recommended software. You don't really need it. I mean, it comes with extra things like LibreOffice and Sonic Pi, Minecraft, Python games. There's a few things that you can put on there, and might as well. So now there is a way to check for this SHA-256 sum. If you want to see that, go look at my Kali Linux video. The thing is, this, unlike Kali Linux, this is a pretty reputable site. There's not going to be a whole lot of people putting out bootleg versions, especially not on raspberrypi.org. The domain is owned by the creators of Raspberry Pi, so there's really not a whole lot to worry about with having to check the SHA-256 sum, and we're not really dealing with, data and passwords and all that crazy stuff. We're just making a simple car. So I'm not even going to go through that. If you want to see how to check this SHA-256 sum, go check out my how to install Kali Linux video. I will see if I can put a link directly to that portion of the video, because obviously you won't want to do everything there. So I'll link that below somewhere, link directly to the portion of my Kali Linux video where you check the SHA-256 sum, if you want to do that. Okay, we got about 30 seconds left. All right, and there it is. We have the image file. Now this has happened to me before where when you don't get an image file, instead you get a folder. Maybe that'll happen when I show you guys on the PC, but if you end up with a folder, all you really have to do is click and drag it. But this ISO image, we can mount it directly to Raspian using the terminal. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so we are going to use the old terminal version. This is going to be the same way of mounting that I went over in my Kali Linux video. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. Basically, all we need to do is we need to go into our disk utility, back into our disk utility, make sure we know which partition, so right here where it says device disk 2 S1, and then over here our main hard drive is disk 1 S1. So we need that information because we want to make sure that we're mounting this ISO file to the SD card and not on our main computer's hard drive. And then from the terminal, this is straight from the raspberrypi.org documentation for installing Raspian, we're just going to run this command. Now, I don't know if you guys remember anything from my Kali Linux video, but we have a really nice way on a Macintosh of getting these path of your image files, because all you have to do is click and drag into the terminal. So let's power up our terminal. Let's type our command. Oops, let's get rid of caps lock. Everything in here is case sensitive. BS equals 1M if, this is the cool part, all my editing stuff. That's not professional. All right. Where's our ISO? Where'd it go? Did we put it into, yes, we did. Put it into our downloads. So let's get it out here. And let's just click and drag that. If that path name, and then of /dev/rdisk, where R, I believe, oh, rdisk n, where n, right here, where n is the number that you noted before. All right, that was a little bit sloppy, so I just want to clear things up here. The number that you want to enter in when you are mounting your hard drive is the number next to disk. So our main hard drive is disk 1, and our now mounted ISO file is disk 2. So when we were mounting it, 2 is the number that we want to use. Okay, hope that cleared things up. All right, of equals /dev/rdisk2. And that's a new command. I haven't seen the conv equals sync yet, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. And let's just go in here. You're going to have to type your password. This will have to be done from a main user account. You have to be logged in as your main user on this MacBook, and you're going to have to use, what happened? Unknown operand. Oh, we did if without using if equals. So I always got to have the equal sign in there. That will, that's what initializes the command. Like I said, it all has to be case sensitive. Oh no! Okay, there we go. Let's go. Resource busy. We haven't unmounted it. Okay. So let's go back into our disk utility. Sorry, this is a little bit sloppy, but we'll get there eventually. So we need to unmount this disk. That basically means that it no longer shows up on our, it's basically the same as ejecting it. Now that that disk is essentially ejected, we can run the command. Now this is going to look like nothing is happening, but I promise you something is happening. There is a way, let me see if I can Google how to check progress. Mac terminal. I think it's like a command B. Yeah, how to track process of DD. Control T. Okay, so we can go in here, we can press Control T. We see that we have 259 records in, 258 records out, and we've had, it looks like 2.7 gigabytes transferred in 29 seconds, so this shouldn't take too much longer. It's running the process. I'll get back to you when this is all done. All right, so here we are. We have finished formatting. You will know because it will end by saying, 5.4 gigabytes transferred in however long. I was actually wrong earlier. It will take probably about 5 to 10 minutes to get this done. It's not going to be as fast as I made it seem earlier. I actually had only had 0.27 gigabytes, not 2.7 gigabytes. So give it some time. Use the Control T just to make sure that the progress is still going. And once it's all done, you should see a little SD card right here that says boot. Now this is going to have everything that we need to run Raspian. So let's get out of the computer and plug this into our Pi. Alright, so we've got our SD card put into our Raspberry Pi. Now, with a brand new Pi, you are going to have to hook this up to a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse the first time you use it. So I'm sure you would HDMI port goes right there. Got USBs right here for a mouse and a keyboard. And then this is for audio right here. And this is going to be your power. And these slots are for a camera and display, and you also have some GPIO pins right here. But let's not worry about those. We're only going to be worried about our HDMI, power, maybe hardwire, put an Ethernet connection if you want to, and then a mouse and a keyboard. Alright, so I made a little bit of a mistake right now. In turning on my Pi, I was getting a power supply error. Basically, I was getting an error from the Pi saying that it wasn't receiving enough power. So I switched out the chargers, and just for fun, and never do this because doing things for fun is how you break things, just for fun I wanted to test the voltage on the 5 volt and 3.3 volt GPIO pins. So what I did was I took out my multimeter and I grounded the ground on one side and checked the 5 volt pin. It looked good. Then I went to check the 3 volt pin. I slipped and I short-circuited the 5 and 3 volts. So now I've got a dead Pi. If you short circuit pin 1 and 2 on a Raspberry Pi, you will break it. You are overloading the 3 volts. Every single 3 volt pin on the Pi will no longer work. And unfortunately, that is the power supply for the CPU. So we're going to have to go and pick up another Pi tomorrow. Be careful with short circuits. You want to be very, very careful with short circuits. A tiny slip, touching those two pins for less than 1/10 of a second, destroyed the Pi instantly. So I'll continue this video tomorrow. I wanted to get this out for now. It's too late to go to Fry's to pick up a new Pi. So hope you guys enjoyed. I will put in I guess this would be 2.5. So this is part 2, and part 2.5 will be coming tomorrow. Thanks for your patience, guys.